About integral ecology or integral human development, which will for the human, when you're talking about a human person, it's not just the person, but his world, his society, environment, and everything, all of that come together. So with all of this, some of the encyclicals till the present Fratelli Tutti, and after Fratelli Tutti, Pope Frans just come out with another one. So with the social teaching of the church and the human person in the middle of it, these are some takeaways that we can draw from them. They provide context and occasions of the social teachings focus on the transcendental and the integral development of the human person. And the emphasis is about the holistic growth and the development of the human person and conditions which make all of this possible. So, talking about integral ecology then, there's no independent variable. The concern of the human person is both his social concern, natural relationship and concern, as well as other political concerns that he has. And so, summing up all of this, so these are building blocks and the different churches that can be, below copy that you can look at later. But it will be at the end of the day to look at one thing, the interest of what concretely we can then describe and identify as social justice. Social justice then will start from the two characteristics of the human person. He's a personal being and he's a relational being. And these two define his dignity, but also the relationship within which the dignity of a human person is developed and realized. That relationship is not simply limited to a person in his family. It's a person in his family, person in society, person in different relations, even international relations, national relations, all kinds of relationships are directed and bound by these two definitions of the relations of a person. And when one is treated or respects the demands of a relationship in which he lives, and what are the relationships? Several of them. By reason of creation, we have a relationship with God. Respecting the demands of this relationship makes us just before God. Living in a family, husband and wife, is a relationship between them. Parents and children is a relationship between them. Respecting the demands of this relationship constitute their justice. When we come to a state, the political system and its in the electorate is another set of relationship. And respecting again the demands of the relationship that constitute a thing. You go to the factory and the workplace between the employer, the employer and the employee, another set of relationship. Okay, which also needs to be respected, which will describe justice or the lack of justice. So the big thing that I like to leave with you with all of this is that the conversation about the activity of the order in society is more comfortably grounded in the church's social thought. And when we go there, we'll discover the principles of the dignity of the human person. On the dignity comes his rights and the respect for rights of all sorts. And then the relationship of those. After the dignity of the human person comes the common good. All of us living together need to pursue what promotes the dignity of all of us. The failing to promote the dignity of all means we do not achieve the common good. And since the common good is the objective of all of us and our living together, there's that thing about solidarity. We work together, we pool forces to realize the common good. And if there should be any member of our community who, because for one reason or the other, cannot make his contribution to the common good, we give him help. That's a subsidiarity. We give him support and help to enable him to be able to make a contribution to the common good. For the common good is the game and achieve, the goal of our being together, of our doing anything at all together. And then Pope Francis and his teaching that introduced this integral ecology, which invites us to recognize the interdependence of everything around us. We interconnected, and therefore we interdependent. And recognizing this also inspires the way that we live and the way we do anything together. So this basically these are the thoughts that I like to leave with you this conversation about church's social justice and the rootedness of your own ministry and this social concern. Your own particular area is privileged with education and all, but it doesn't miss out or lack the concern for the social conditions of people. If it's education for growth, which in the sense of Laudato Si, is education not simply in the economic sense, but education also to be ecological citizens. This is what Laudato Si also brings us with. So we educate people, yes, in the area of formation, accomplishment and all, but we also educate people about their own ecological sensibility and ecological citizenship, which is current these days in the era of the climate change and the talk about the climate and everything around us. So let me end here and see if there's any question or any discussion that can follow this. Thank you for your attention. What does AI do? So we're beginning to say AI should aim at disclosures. You say there should disclose data. There should be data, serious data disclosure in AI, in the use of AI. Without the data disclosure, anything at all can happen. And since AI is good at simulating, that's also where it needs to be checked. In every culture remains and is permanent. Regard for the other one, that is a basic thing that the details of the living of this regard, that may be culturally determined. You do this, you offer water this way, kneeling. And so going to Uganda, I find myself, and this because a lot you have groups in Uganda, I spend a lot of always lifting women who came to greet. Okay, so it became a big exercise of weightlifting. Because every woman comes and to greet you, first is on the knees, and then you need to, so that was a cultural thing. You will not find this in Ghana. Okay, and so we do have cultural forms of this relation, but we also do have universal ones, and the basic underlying universal relationship is the respect. Respect for the other, respect for whatever, and the details of this can follow by cultural determinants and all of that. So, and as I said, this respect can be personal, but can also be ecological. Some of the ecological conditions also are basically respect. For example, when Laudato Si, a big thing is said about respect for the environment, which has led the church in Sweden to be contemplating now a legal instrument that they propose in the United Nations about ecocide. Okay, ecocide means that if you do anything that kills the environment, you can be prosecuted. Okay, so that's something they're pushing. Now, so another cultural respect for a natural environment is what? So in Ghana, there are some streams which you're not supposed to fish in certain times of the week. You're not even supposed to cross certain times of the week. So the brother you live with knows that in Ghana, every Tuesday, no fisherman dare step into his canoe to go fishing on the sea. So we do have days like this set aside. And they set aside, what is it? Is it simply out of respect for sea or river or whatever? The ecological values, you give the sea or the river a break. A break for the fish, a break for everything. It's like the Sabbath at the end of creation. They need to have a break in our culture. It's expressed essentially in forms of taboos. So when somebody comes and say taboo this and taboo that, and unfortunately makes it, pagan, then sometimes it's missing something that is very important and crucial. If you refer to this as pagan and therefore disregard whatever, then it just means that the fish and everything they see has no time to breed. Then they said that fishing 24 hours. So we do have that. For some certain forest areas you may not hunt in. You may not hunt in certain forests because again, that's respect for ecological recovery or whatever. So respect is the basic thing, and it comes in so very many different forms.
I'm curious to hear from you with your knowledge of us in the past. If there are then one or two things you would think that would be most important for us as apostolic religious with an educational focus, what are one of the two most important things we could do practically to be voices for justice, bearers of hope in the world today?
Mm-hmm. So basically talking about education, I think our objective as a religious group involved in education is to maintain and always promote its integrality of education, or the wholesomeness of education, and ensure that education is always wholesome and promotes every aspect of the human person. It does not mean that people are not encouraged to develop skills. Yes, people can develop skills, but at the end of the day, the skills should not be at the cost of any faculty, any dimension of the human person which should not be developed. And that is what is leading us into this increasing tension between science and faith. So a visit to the academy will tell them, science cannot be opposed to faith. At least your presence here in the academy just teaches you one thing. If for the Catholic Church, there was a tension between faith and science, it would not have maintained an Academy of Science from way back as 1603. It began in 1603, Galileo became a member in 1610, and then, it's been maintained till today. So faith and science, they're not necessarily opposed. And you've had churchmen who have come out with big things. Big Bang Theory was a German priest, Notre, from Belgium. He came out with a Big Bang Theory. Anthropocene, Turkson. So it's just, but the tendency coming up is that faith is opposed to technology, and faith is opposed to science, and that's what is given. A document sent to our desk in the academy from a scientist in the United States, from upstate New York. He's saying that it's because we're not helping our youth to deal with the tension between faith and science. That's why youth are not going to church or are not getting religious and whatever. So the ability to maintain the wholesomeness or the integral perspective for the education is a crucial thing that I think we should not lose.
As consecrated persons working for justice and peace is an essential aspect of our core, as I understand. And we are all involved in some way in the works of justice, peace, and integrity of creation. But we want to do more. As a person with a lot of experience, do you have any advice for the congregation of Holy Cross? Because the entire leadership of Holy Cross is here.
So Pope Benedict begins by saying that this Caritas in Veritate, okay, so it's a document that's available. Actually, this is all per the third paragraph of Caritas in Veritate. He starts out by saying that justice is to give to the other one what belongs to him. Okay, then he goes on to say, but love is to give to that person even that which is yours. Okay, so this begins his talk about charity. So the talk about Caritas in Veritate begins from there, with this definition of charity. So justice means you give to somebody what is his due. Charity is when you give to that, even that which is yours. Okay, and that, so if you ask me about an extra, this is the only extra I can add. So the only extra I can add is this other call to, in fact, justice without charity does not work. And he himself will quickly add that and say that justice ultimately is also inspired and driven by charity, concern for the other. So if you put a question straight up, what else could we do? Then I would say, let your social justice and social mission and ministry be inspired by charity.